Brooke Shields, Reese Witherspoon, and Adele, all accomplished professional moms who've been open about their struggles with postpartum depression and anxiety. And they are not alone. A recent study found that 1 in 5 women develop more severe symptoms of depression and other postpartum mood disorders after giving birth.
Yeah, Dr. Jessica Vernon, an OB/GYN at NYU's Langone Hospital, knows firsthand about this struggle. Here's her story.
I work with new moms just about every day and have been doing so for the last decade.
Dr. Jessica Vernon is an OB/GYN at NYU's Langone Hospital, but even she missed the signs of postpartum depression after giving birth to her first child, baby girl Kaya, in June of 2018.
I had a lot of anxiety, which I thought was just the heightened alert of a new mom. I was very overwhelmed a lot. I couldn't sleep. I had lots of thoughts of scary things happening to the baby, like drowning or choking or hitting her head or being dropped.
A comparison culture only made things worse.
You see a lot of people who are perfectly put together with their perfect families and kids, and so I felt a lot of guilt and shame, and it seemed like other moms were doing everything so seamlessly and easily.
After her maternity leave, going back to work felt impossible.
I was moving slower, my brain was foggier, I kind of reached my low point. I thought maybe I had an autoimmune disorder or cancer.
2 years after becoming a mom, Dr. Vernon realized she'd been battling untreated postpartum depression.
The first thing that really helped me was the medication. And it was only at that point that I was able to get the perspective necessary to say, I need to invest time in my own self-care.
A message she now delivers to her own patients.
During my training, we were really only taught to look for severe depression in women who were suicidal. And that's not how postpartum depression presents in most people. It's a broad spectrum, including anxiety, depression, OCD. I have learned so much. The questions I ask expecting a new moms. Typically, everyone's like, how's the baby? Can I see a picture of the baby? I go in and I ask how mom is.
Meanwhile, Kaya is turning 4 next month, and she's going to become a big sister.
Now I am 5 months pregnant with my second child. I feel better than I think I've ever felt. Asking for help and being vulnerable is not a sign of weakness. It's a sign of strength.
Such a sign of strength. Dr. Jessica Vernon is here with us now, along with Dr. Alexandra Sacks, a psychiatrist at Columbia University. You all, thank you so much for being here. Dr. Vernon, this is such an important conversation, one that I don't think we have enough of. You are a doctor. You meet with pregnant women all the time, and yet you couldn't see the symptoms in yourself.
Yeah, and thank you for having us to talk about this really important topic. I think this happens with a lot of people. They don't realize that postpartum depression is more than just depression, and it's not just postpartum. It can happen throughout the pregnancy. A lot of people present with anxiety and not depression, and so they just don't know what to look out for. And this is why it's so important that you talk to your doctor about your physical and emotional symptoms throughout pregnancy so you can get help.
Let's talk to your doctor. You know, people don't know if it's just the typical things of early motherhood.
Yeah, right.
Of course I'm run down. Of course I'm exhausted. Of course I feel this way. How do you know if it's something serious that you should pay attention to?
Sure. So in 85% of women, they'll experience something called the baby blues. And those are mild symptoms that'll go away within 14 days.
Like what?
You might be just more tearful, feeling sad at times, but you'll also still be able to feel happy as well. Symptoms will come and go. After 2 weeks, if you've had more serious symptoms, that would be signs of postpartum depression. And those symptoms include feeling very sad, worries. Women often say that they're exhausted, but they can't sleep because they're worrying about something happening with the baby. Feeling guilty, feeling worthless, trouble concentrating, and in the most serious, thoughts of death and suicide.
You're nodding through this whole thing.
That was your list?
Yes, that was my list. So many symptoms that I didn't realize. It took being in the epicenter of a COVID pandemic and just getting to my bottom before I realized this was my anxiety presenting in a more extreme way. And that's when I reached out for help. And For me, going on the antidepressant was the most important thing because I wouldn't have been able to do any of the other self-care I needed to do, seeing a therapist, doing mindfulness work, if I hadn't got on the medication. And I decided to stay on it for this pregnancy as well, knowing the risks and benefits of untreated depression and anxiety versus the medication risk in pregnancy.
Yes. That's an important point because you're 5 months pregnant and choosing to take this medication is a big step for you and you weighed it out. Can you go a little bit deeper into that decision?
Yeah, I think it's different for every person and how your symptoms are. And it's a really good conversation to have with your physician, whether your primary care obstetrician or whether a psychiatrist, whoever you feel comfortable talking about. Every medication has a different risk profile. There's a really excellent source that moms can look on called Mother to Baby, which I love and I share with my patients. And you just kind of have to see what works best for you. For some people, medication is not the best option, but for some people like me, it is.
Yeah. What's one thing we can all do when we're thinking about this for ourselves, for our friends, for our community?
Ask a woman how she's doing. Ask how she's feeling physically, but also how she's doing emotionally. And if you're a woman and you're having any question about if you're struggling with this or struggling in any way, tell someone, tell your friends, tell your family, tell any nurse. This is a treatable condition. This is a serious condition, but the treatments work. And so we're really here to reduce the shame and stigma.
Well, exactly. I feel like it's like you're thinking you're supposed to be at the happiest time of your life. And then you feel bad about it, but you shouldn't.
By the way, this was all great advice. And I'm so glad you came on to tell your story. It was really important and valuable to us. Thank you both so much.
Thank you so much. And we put together a mental health checklist to help parents identify the signs of postpartum depression and how to get help. So you can check it out on HodaandJenna.com.
We'll be right back right after this.